lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Rickmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, rickmotech.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We are live here for the XMS Elite Xfinity Series, ready to go for 95 laps here at Indianapolis, at the Brickyard, at one of the most important racing facilities in the world. And on the pole, taking it last minute, is Jacob Brower. Go ahead and show you the grid. He stole it by 3/1000ths of a second over Justin Opplinger. Third place is Ed Morris, then Paul Irvin, Michael Thwaites, Alan Dobbs, Joshua Vidal, Bryce Senizak, Nicholas Caldwell, Frank Orsini. Then we've got Ted Pullen and Mike Rominger rounding out this page. Nicholas Weatherby, David Collot, Jacob Jensen, Alan Fox, Taylor Bertram, Jonathan Cogswell, Mike Campeggio, and Daniel Krim rounding out your top 20. Todd Keir, Matt Cochran, Forrest Smith, Michael Self, Brandon Storer, Douglas Carlson, Josh Wren, Joe Darnell, Dustin Carroll, Gary Wells, and Ed Morris Sr. rounding out the field here today. Oh, we didn't move. Wow, the grid didn't move. My bad. So we went through it, but we'll go ahead and show you on the graphics so you guys can see where your favorite driver is starting if you didn't hear me rush through it. But while we have a moment, we'll see if we can go ahead and get our pole sitter up in the booth with us. Jacob Brower, also last week's winner. Give us one moment here and we should be able to talk with the driver of the number 3. Hey Jacob, it's Liam and Jordan up in the booth. You got a copy?
10-4, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. I tell you what, we're getting kind of used to talking to you at this point. We talked to you twice last week at the end of the races, and now we're talking to you once at the beginning. So, you know, what's under the hood of that number 3? What's it going to take to keep all 30 of these drivers behind you?
A lot of luck. This isn't one of my better tracks, but we're gonna. I don't know if I was gonna say something, but I don't want to get you guys in trouble. But gonna just give it our best shot tonight.
I think we can deal, but... Well, you've got 95 laps in front of you, 6 sets of tires. It's definitely going to be a long one here. You've got more than enough tires. What kind of strategy are we looking at here? Obviously, you can't give away the whole playbook, but what are we thinking here? Is it going to be a 2-stopper, 3-stopper?
I'm expecting some people to kind of short pit in the first stage if we go green here. If there's cautions, it's going to make it really interesting with how close the fuel mileage is going to be and everything else. The tire fall off here is going to be, it's a lot. You're going to start in the low 53s, high 52s, and you're going to fall off to mid 55s. So you don't want to stay out there too long, but obviously you got to calculate the fuel risk along with that too. So it's kind of a little mind game. It kind of depends on where the cautions fall as well.
Awesome stuff, Jacob. We'll let you get back to your team here, and thanks again for joining us. Congratulations on starting on the pole.
10-4, thank you guys. I hope we put on a show for you.
Hope that was the right one, but here we go. The field ready to start rolling off with Jacob Brower at the front. Justin Opplinger to his outside. Opplinger won earlier this season in Richmond. He's looking to get some momentum rolling back in his favor. Very Wells is going to, I believe, be the admin of this race, so he's not looking to be a driver on the starting grid. Ed Morris Sr. rounds out the field of 30. Indianapolis is a very unique racetrack. Take a look at the track map here. It is a rectangle, more so than it is an oval. 2.5 miles. We've got a track temp of 112 degrees right now. That is going to make these tires extra slick. And we talked with Jacob about how the fall off is going to be here. Scott Rambler got the sweep 2 weeks ago in Coda. Last week, Jacob Brower got it done. Who can get it done here in Indy? And can somebody pull off the sweep?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone can do it, I think Brower can definitely pull off another sweep this week. And, you know, this is, a 2.5 mile track, but it runs a little differently just because of those, that little short shoot before, each turn. And yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of people make some very dangerous moves in those little short shoots, trying to get underneath somebody and maybe run side by side in a corner, or even maybe kind of treacherously get to that outside and try to have a better run off. But it's going to be interesting, it's going to be fun, and I love this track so much.
Oh, I do too. If there is not a bad seat in the house, I try to make it every year, and well, I've already made one trip here this season, or this year. Gonna make a second. These guys are here for their first. Green flag is in the air, and we are racing here in Indianapolis. Caution is out already. We got trouble at the back. Forrest
Seems like
Smith
that hot
involved.
track temp.
Gary Wells,
Seems like
Brandon
that.
Storr. Or no, Gary Wells didn't start. Todd Keir goes around. Joe Darnell, he might have a piece of it. He might have gotten stopped up in time.
Yeah, it seems like that hot track temp is already getting to these guys a little bit under this start here. Not entirely sure what happened just yet.
Take a look from high above, and looks like the 15 just got into the back of the one of Todd Keir. Got him turned around.
Yeah, it looks like he just wasn't quite as ready to go as Forrest Smith there.
Darnell just locks up the brakes to avoid it. Does a really good job, and so does Ed Morris Sr. to get through there and not hit anything.
Yeah, that's a perk of being in the back sometimes. You can kind of lay back a little bit more, like you can see him there on that replay, just kind of waiting for everybody to get going and then just kind of squeeze by there.
Bad angle there, but you can see everybody getting stopped up together. Try it one more time. Shouldn't have anybody a lap down at this point. A couple of cars with some pretty decent licks. Not what you want to start with here, especially at a big track like Indianapolis.
Yeah, and those corners, it's not really going to affect them a ton, but going down that front and back stretch, it's really going to hurt them aerodynamically and make it pretty difficult for them to keep up with the pack a little bit. They will kind of spread out a little bit, as some people get through these turns, quicker than others, but essentially that long straightaway is going to be the equalizer where you could, draft up, and if you don't have that good aero, you're not going to be able to draft as quickly or as easily as some of these other guys.
It's going to be a crucial part down these straightaways, and well, 2 laps complete now here in Indianapolis. Jacob Brower still the race leader over Justin Opplinger. Ed Morris, not a whole lot of time for really anything to happen. However, Daniel Krim, he's come into the pits. Douglas Carlson, Josh Wren, Joe Darnell, Forrest Smith, Todd Keir. He jumped to the pits along with Brandon Storr.
Yeah, and the good thing for some of these guys, they're going to be able to just kind of sit here for quite a while. It's going to take these guys a while to get around, under these pace laps. So they should be able to get, most, if not all, of their damage fixed here on these, on these caution laps.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, taking a tow is definitely going to be a huge detriment to your race. This early on, it's kind of manageable. I mean, only 2 of you have done it, Todd Keir and Brandon Storr. But Joe Darnell, Forrest Smith, Douglas Carlson, like you were saying, how much damage do you have? Are you going to be able to get it repaired all under this caution? Are you going to have to, jump out of the pits here early? Forrest Smith, he's still on pit lane. He's going to jump out of his stall. Looks like there might still be a little bit of damage there.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of left rear crinkle, trying to maybe beat that pace car back out.
Does not look like he'll be able to do it. Maybe he did.
He's definitely flying off like he did, but I don't know if iRacing snagged him or not.
Justin Opplinger is your race leader. We are going to have an extra lap of caution because of just a few lap down cars. Not the ideal way to start a race.
No, not at all. And it's interesting that the leader, he came down in that, so I'm a little surprised that he jumped, that early to kind of come down and get a little bit of service. But, I mean, he's got a game plan for sure.
Definitely does. Jacob Brower in the 3. Talked with him about a little bit of strategy, and said people might try to short pit it if it's going to go green. But that's about as short as you can pit
it. Yeah, any shorter, and I think you're just pulling it, starting from pit road, backing up, and pulling back in your spot.
Yeah, definitely a bit more complicated game here. Justin Oplinger, he's got the job done before this year. He got it done at Richmond. Kind of a different track to Indianapolis.
Oh yeah, a completely different atmosphere. I mean, there people are going to use bumpers more. Here people are going to be a little more strategic, setting up runs, trying to use all of that front stretch. I mean, we see it during in real life NASCAR, and as well as like the Indy series, where you see these guys go from that outside wall all the way to the inside wall, back to the outside wall, trying to break the draft, and the ones following in suits trying to stick with them to get that toe and try to be as close as they can on these corners and get a better run off the corner. And there's a bunch of different strategies with these guys. And
speaking of strategy, we got more guys coming in to top off here with one to go. Jacob Brower, Ed Morris, Ted Pullen, David Gallo, Jacob Jensen, Forrest Smith, Josh Wren. A lot of guys coming in trying to get that extra lap of gas. Which I think just goes to say these guys up front won't be able to make it.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure if these guys can still make it just on these pit stops alone, but they definitely have a plan. They definitely know they're going to be able to make it a little bit longer, than these guys up front, and maybe try to even push it and save and stretch out this run and maybe make it to the end.
Well, we're coming to get the green flag this time around. Justin Oplinger going to lead them down. He's got the inside lane. Paul Irvin, Alan Dobbs, Michael Thwaites, Joshua Vidal, Bryce Setisak, Frank Orsini, Nicholas Caldwell, Nicholas Weatherby, and Mike Rominger. Rounding out the top 10. Pace car is getting ready to make that hard left turn, and we're going to try this once again to go green flag here in Indianapolis. Early in the box goes Oplinger, and we are green. So far, looking back through, it stays clean.
And at a track like Indy, getting out ahead is not as bad as, say, Daytona. If he can get out and get through these corners a lot better than these guys and kind of separate himself, it's not going to be as quite of a bad situation as those plate tracks where these guys are going to basically swallow him up. And you see him go down toward the inside there, breaking that draft from Paul Irvin. And
So I was just
Indy's
about to...
one of... sorry.
All right, we're McMurray and Wayne from Letterkenny. But yeah, I was just getting ready to talk about how he was doing the snaking thing, and I thought you were done. I was going to keep going with your point, but this time around he doesn't do the snaking thing. He doesn't try to move down to the bottom side to take away the draft, create the hole of air at the bottom of the racetrack. Oplinger is going to lead this lap here, the first lap under green. Paul Irvin just behind him, ran about a 10th quicker that time around. Bit loose there coming up off of turn 2. We'll see a lot of that here as these guys try to keep it out of the wall. Getting into the wall off of turn 2 is treacherous because the safer bear ends a little bit earlier than it does at a lot of tracks. Plus, hitting that wall at the end, or right at the beginning rather, of such a long straightaway, that can cause you a lot, or cost you a lot of positions.
Yeah, and it's just gonna continue to cause like a little bit of a freight train, and Indy to me is one of those tracks where it gives you that kind of euphoric feeling when you go through a corner right. Like, it's one of those only tracks to me that when you take a turn right. So, you kind of get into that turn one, you get off the gas just enough, maybe a little touch of brake, and you can kind of throw it up to that wall, and like, it just gives you that feeling like, yeah, I hit that. So, it's a very telling track to me.
Tried to watch on Nicholas Caldwell there, and he disappeared just as we clicked on him, so we'll keep you updated on that, but Caldwell might have some connection issues at the moment. Bryce Senesac here in the top 5, doing what he can to try to chase down Alan Dobbs in that 38. We know Dobbs has been quick this year, working his way up through the field quite a bit. This time he started up in the top 6. Moving forward, he's up to 4th place. That might just be because those guys up in front of him made pit stops. Alan Dobbs starts to slide a little bit wider there through turn number 2. We'll see if that continues on throughout this early portion of the race. I would imagine guys are going to keep on moving up a little bit and maybe create a second lane. But right now, you're going to want to hold it on that bottom. That bottom right on the white line is what's fast. And Michael Thwaites tried to get down to the inside of Irvin right there. He's got nothing, though.
Yeah, and you're going to see these guys really trying to get such a great run off the corner that they can kind of maybe stick their nose to the outside of that driver just before he gets to the wall, or, kind of try to undercut him and cross him over and make a really good run off the corner and kind of essentially move him aside.
Looking towards the back of the field for some side-by-side battles. Forrest Smith getting around David Colo. Coming up off of turn number 2, though. Paul Irvin under fire from Michael Thwaites. And number 12 machine looking strong here at Indy. That Menard's paint scheme hasn't made it here very often. I think only the one time with Paul Menard. Michael Thwaites trying to bring some more glory to that Menard's name here at Indianapolis.
Yeah, and Thwaites, and Thwaites there, he's been really showing smart strategy and just kind of putting himself in great places throughout every race that we've seen so far. I know you weren't here, but I got to see him at Coda kind of making a last-minute pit stop, just before pit road was closed, and put himself up front on the race restart after the stage break, and ultimately took himself from probably roughly around a 16th place position finish to putting himself in the top 5 to, I believe he was 5th just in the top 5. So he's been showing that he is kind of a little bit of a strategy master, not necessarily for wins, but getting himself in position that if something were to happen, he would be in the running for a win.
And that's all you really can do. Some people say, it's better to be lucky than good. If you set yourself up in the right spot, you can definitely find yourself in a lucky position and get yourself a win. So it's gonna be interesting for sure. I mean, if he can get himself up there, you never know. Guys might tangle in front of you. You might find yourself in a fuel mileage type of race. Possibilities are endless. I mean, there are unlimited numbers of ways to lose a race.
Yeah, and it's really easy to lose a race. It's not very easy to win, but you certainly lose it rather quickly.
Frank Marcini falling back a little bit further there. At 60, like you talked about getting freight trained, he's getting freight trained up on the top right now as Rominger trying to take advantage and make that 3 positions loss. Frank Orsini all the way back to 10th. He was just up there racing for 6th place or 7th place with Nicholas Weatherby. Nicholas Caldwell may have had himself a moment. Oh, that was him lagging out. Up front, it's still Opplinger, but look at Thwaites all over that rear bumper, trying to take that lead away, trying to get that car right up in front of him, just a little bit loose coming up off of the corner.
Yeah,
Gonna
and
get close. He
Thwaites
did
is
get a little
sticking
loose,
to
but
him.
not quite enough. Here comes Thwaites down to the inside. He's got help from Irvin.
He should be able to send it into this corner and kind of try to pull a little bit of a slide job,
man.
force him up the track a little.
Opplinger
Doesn't quite
did
work
not
out.
want to give that up. He gave it everything he could up on the top side, and now Thwaites is under fire from Irvin. Dobbs moves up to the top side, Senesac to the bottom of him. Opplinger all the way to the bottom side, trying to take away that draft.
Yeah, and that shows you how quickly things could change. You know, Thwaites was inside, you know, surging for the lead, and suddenly he had to, you know, fend off Paul Irvin, and you know, then Irving was holding off Dobbs, and it's like a little bit of a domino effect where, you know, one guy's fighting this guy, and then as that guy prevails, it just falls back to the next driver in line.
Nobody's taking the bait as Opplinger goes down to the bottom of the racetrack. Nobody's following him to try to take that draft. Instead, Alan Dobbs has been all over the back bumper of Paul Irvin, basically trying to tandem draft him up to, if not past, that 12 card. These guys have been running incredible racing so far up front here. And see it from high above. Just about a car length separating everybody, but you can see where they pick up on the gas. They start to close in on each other. Oh, almost a little bit of contact there from Dobbs to Irvin. Almost a little bit more. There was contact. Irvin goes sideways, and he's going to take that opportunity to come into the pits. Fox gets hit by Rominger on pit entry.
I don't know if that was necessarily, you know, planned there, but Irvin just said, well, I'm going down. I might as well just come down and play a little bit of a short pit game.
Or maybe was it the plan the whole time, and Dobbs just didn't know.
I mean, it's very likely because these guys are very quick to just make last-second calls and try to throw everybody off. I mean, that could even possibly, you know, like we say just about every week, that could kind of throw a little wrench in some of these guys' plans where, you know, Opplinger or Thwaites might think about doing it as well.
Well, another thing to consider here is that these guys are running 54.91 was Opplinger's last lap. He's coming into the pits this time around. Thwaites takes over the race lead. Vidal, he's going to come into the pits. He's going to lock it up and miss the pits. Back up the racetrack, and the caution comes out.
That's going to be, I believe, a commitment line penalty too for, you know, coming in and then just kind of darting out, you know, unsafe pit exit there. And honestly, that might work a little bit in Opplinger's favor. You know, I think these guys will probably take the opportunity to come down and get, you know, fresh tires and fuel, and that'll put Opplinger and Rominger and others just right up into that front spot.
Yeah, he's able to come in here, get fresh tires, get back out. He's not really going to have to worry about anybody behind him. As he gets out and blends, Paul Irvin is still just now getting into turn one. Caution out here for the first time, or second time rather, after that initial start crash. Michael Thwaites leads, Alan Dobbs, Bryce Senesac, Nicholas Weatherby, Frank Orsini. Gonna have pit stops coming up here. Wholesale pit stops.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if anybody's just going to go ahead and try to stay out, move themselves up a little bit, but I mean, doesn't seem to necessarily be the case. Cochran.
Darnell stays out as well.
And you see Justin Opplinger just start to move all the way up the leaderboard, as well as Irvin and Fox.
Yeah, those guys play the right strategy. At least for this first stage here, which I believe ends at 35. Might
We
have to
end
maybe
at
double
lap.
check that on the Jordan.
Yeah, we end at lap 30. So I mean, they're gonna have roughly what 10 lap shootout to the stage end. So I mean, I think that puts Irvin and Opplinger in a really good spot. You know, these guys have been out here already on these these tires. At least from the race start. I'm not sure if they took tires or not on their first pit stops, but I know Darnell was in some of that trouble earlier. So I think right now, they're going to be under fire from Opplinger and Irvin rather quickly.
I don't think it'll take very long at all. These guys last came in on lap 3 and 4. Joe Darnell came in to top off to try to make it to the end. It's also one that we saw get turned around under that first caution, just locked up the brakes. And here comes Joe Darnell into the pits. He doesn't want to be the first one on old tires, I guess.
Yeah, I think maybe he was hoping there would be a little bit more that stayed out or something, or, he just maybe missed the pit road the first time around, but he definitely said, I'm not playing that game, so.
Nope. As we get doubled up here, it's going to be Matt Cochran, Justin Opplinger to his inside. Cochran choosing the outside, likely because he knows it's not going to have a whole heck of a lot for these guys here on this initial restart.
Yeah, I think we're going to see him, if he's not careful, being on older tires, could spin a little bit trying to just get a good jump with Opplinger and maybe stack up that outside line, or, maybe even cause a stack up enough that we kind of have the situation like we did at the start where we have guys, running each other over.
And the tough thing about this front straightaway, on restarts especially, is that this track is so narrow with walls on either side, and you can't really see through the cars in front of you. So if something happens, you're just kind of at the mercy of the guy in front of you, and if you can't react pretty much at the same time as he does, you're all kind of toast. It's tough because you want to be as close to that guy so you can make a move or take advantage of whatever you need to, but at the same time, it's just tough.
There's on at least the front stretch. I know the back stretch, you have a little bit more with the grass and everything, but there's not really anywhere to escape on that front stretch. You're truly in a very long rectangle box.
Yeah, not a whole lot of space to utilize here as the pace car makes that hard left turn once again. We're going to have 11 laps to go. No, make that 10 laps to go here in the stage. Green flag is in the air, and already Opplinger on the inside. He's going to get to the line first. We'll see if that's a penalty. Cochran getting passed up by everybody. Now here comes Fox coming to take third. Dobbs going to get stuck up behind him for a second as to fall in back behind Alan Fox. And now Frank Orsini moves down to the inside of the 4. Double wide just behind these guys with Setasak, Brower, and Carlson. Brower working his way up through. Tried to get up to the front, pulling a little bit of a two-car tandem to get down to the inside of Tuttle. Or showing Tuttle, that's Douglas Carlson.
See, Brower kind of got a little close there for comfort.
Gonna be 3 wide through turn 4. As they get around Matt Cochran. Carlson keeping the fight to that 17 on the inside. He's going to try to keep it up there once again. He does. Up the racetrack goes Brower. He's going to lift just a little bit. Can't use up all the track he wants to. Tries to arc his corner wide, and up the racetrack goes Douglas Carlson. He might not be happy with that as he gets up into the wall. Good save, though. He's going to keep it straight. He'll lose a ton of time, though. Opplinger holds on to the lead over Paul Irvin. Just one lap of difference in terms of pit cycle here for these guys.
Yeah, and I think that definitely worked out perfectly to Opplinger's favor. You know, he got on pit road just in time and able to kind of capitalize on it and pretty much have a free pit stop where, you know, he didn't lose anything from anyone.
I think we saw that work out for somebody else this last weekend. Potentially one Lando Norris.
Oh my gosh, I'm like, what am I not remembering from last week? But
Opplinger moves down to the bottom side, trying to take away that draft. Doesn't really work in his favor as Paul Irvin closes the gap down the back straightaway. Doesn't quite get the line that he wants to through turn 3. We'll see if turn 4 can change that up. He gets right down to that white line. Following in the tire track, so that 51 of Opplinger. This time he stays up to the top. He's got a little bit of help from Dobbs, but that's a couple of car lengths. Not going to be much help, if any.
yeah, I think what's going to get you past Opplinger today is going to be having a faster corner than him and being able to be right on his, you know, rear bumper and maybe try to outbrake him. You know, because he's playing that, you know, cutting the arrow really well. You know, people aren't really wanting to follow him, and, you know, he's definitely got these straightaways down. So if you can kind of throw your car in there and kind of get right on his rear bumper, kind of have a same drive off that he does, I think that's really what's going to be the give you the ability to get around him.
Irvin's got himself a nice run coming up off of 4. He's close. Closer than he's been in quite some time. Is he going to have enough of a run to be able to put his nose down to the inside? It's half a car length between bumpers going down the front straightaway, but not enough getting into 1. Opplinger takes a slightly wider arc, and now the top 3 are under a blanket.
Yeah, I feel like I could sense Paul Irvin kind of just rocking in his seat, you know, in his simulator, trying to will that thing forward as Dobbs dives to the inside of him. Gonna make a pass relatively easy. Is he clear? He's clear.
And that might not be what Opplinger wanted. He tried to pull the draft towards Dobbs so they would stay side by side. Irvin didn't put that fight to the 38 like he was expecting. Dobbs, he's going to be right behind him. He's got himself a nice run coming up off of turn 4. Is it going to be enough? To the bottom of the racetrack to defend and cut off the draft goes Dobbs, or rather Opplinger. Dobbs right up to the bumper. Not quite.
Dobbs all over him.
Looks like these guys have Matt Cochran just in front of them. He made a pit stop. Should be able to pull away just a little bit on pressure tires. We'll see what he's got under the hood of that thing. But Dobbs all over the rear bumper of Opplinger. Where does he make this move? He looks down to the inside. Opplinger can't defend for it. At least on entry, he's going to come up off the corner. Dobbs slides up, trying to use up all the racetrack that he can, but there's not quite enough space between him and the wall. There's a car in between, and that's going to allow Opplinger to get up off of turn number 4 and hold on to that race lead for now. Big time snaking down the front straightaway.
Yeah, and I feel like Opplinger was just trying to break the draft from Dobbs there, and then maybe try to pull a little bit off of Matt Cochran right there in front of him, and try to maybe pull himself forward a little bit to give himself some breathing room back to Dobbs.
These guys are definitely chasing down Matt Cochran in front of him. Getting closer and closer down the back straightaway. I think Cochran's just going to let him go here. Opplinger, big time lose through turn 3. Gives Dobbs a run. Is he going to have enough to try to make that pass, get that side draft down the front straightaway? I think the best way to make that pass is to be able to get next to him early down the straight. And now this is where Dobbs can do it. He moves down to the inside. That's the wrong camera. They're dead even getting into turn number 1. Dobbs gets through to the race lead. Opplinger's going to try to cut down and cross him over. Big time loose out of the 51. But he's right back to the rear bumper of Alan Dobbs, looking down to the inside in turn 2.
And it seems just being that trailing car seems to be a little bit easier than being that leader. You know, we saw, Opplinger and that little 5-car breakaway kind of stretch themselves from the rest of the pack, but, now we're not really seeing that, pack really, get away as we see, like, the top 2 actually pull away.
Brower just made a big-time cut up the racetrack to arc his corner after he passed Matt Cochran there up on the top side. Now he's going to try to set himself up to the inside of Alan Fox once again. Fox has a lot of friends and fans in the chat. Garrett Smorrell says, "Let's go Fox." Living the Dream says, "Let's go Fox." Brian Moran says, "Yeah, 73." Dale Opplinger in here rooting for Justin. Justin ain't letting him get away, that's for sure. Frank Orsini is now under fire from Nicholas Weatherby, just behind this battle. You look like Joshua the Dog tagged along coming up off of turn number 2. Here comes Fox to the Brower to the inside of Fox. Behind him, Weatherby to the inside of Orsini. Weatherby's move not going to work. Neither is Brower's. Weatherby tries it again just behind. Ted Pullen trying to figure out which way to go. Weatherby gets loose coming up off the corner. Here comes Pullen down to the inside. 2 laps to go in the stage here.
Yeah, and we're really seeing how those tires, they seem to just get a little bit looser as you run. We don't see a lot of sliding once they started this little 10-lap shootout. But as they've kind of gone through the last 9 or so laps, you start seeing a little bit more sliding. And I don't know if that's necessarily because those guys were, maybe taking it a little bit easy early in that little shootout, or if, now they're, now they're really trying to push it, or if it's tire wear.
Well, we'll find out. Opplinger pushing really hard. 1 more corner to go in this stage and a long front straightaway to get it done. So if Dobbs can just hold on through this final corner, he's got it. The one mistake could have given it to Opplinger there. Coming up off of turn number 4 down the front straightaway. Alan Dobbs wins the stage here in Indianapolis. We'll wait for our top 10 to get across the line before that caution comes out. And there it is. Yellow flag number 3 here in Indianapolis. This time for the stage end. Alan Dobbs gets it done over Justin Opplinger, Paul Irvin, Alan Fox, Jacob Brower, Frank Orsini, Nicholas Weatherby, Ted Pullen, Daniel Grimm, and Michael Thwaites, rounding out our points getters here in the first 30 laps. We're going to see if they come into pit this time or if they're going to have to run an extra lap.
Seeing, Alan Dobbs getting the second stage win of the season. Definitely, I feel like stage wins definitely give you that little bit of a momentum. It makes you feel good. You get those 10 points. You get yourself a little bit of a cushion for the rest of the race. And everybody wants to win, but having a little bit of cushion, you could fall off a little bit, and it's not it doesn't completely ruin your day entirely.
I meant to put him in the staging room first, but we got Alan Dobbs up in the booth with us. And Alan, congrats on an impressive stage win. Walk us through that battle there with the 51.
Yeah, that was really fun. It's really hard to pass here, so I was kind of surprised I was able to get one done. I don't know if that one extra lap he ran under caution affected his tires enough for me to be able to make that move or what, but yeah, I mean, getting a stage win sets us up real good for the rest of the race. Hopefully, if we can come out of here with a top 10 finish, it's basically as good as getting a win now, right?
Well, I tell you what, man, you set up that pass perfectly, got next to him, coming up off of the corner, side drafted him down the straightaway, and just outbraked him into turn 1. What do you got for the next 65?
We're going to have to keep these tires on us. Hopefully we'll get some long runs here, but if we do green flag pit stops and we're going, nearly 25, 26 laps on a set of tires, we're really going to have to be cautious and conserve them because the right front will wear out.
Awesome stuff. Appreciate you joining us. We'll send you back to your team for the pit stop.
All right, thank you.
Was Alan Dobbs stage winner? I'm going to go ahead and watch the pits. See who gets out first. Almost the entire field of lead lap cars comes in. I believe Bryce Senesac stays out.
Yeah, it looks like Senesac came down just a little bit before the end of that stage there. So him pulling a little bit of a short pit there.
Yeah, trying for some track position. He was running up in the top 5 all day. Coming up off the pits, Alan Dobbs going to win the race off pit road. Second is going to be Nicholas Weatherby, Frank Orsini, Jacob Brower, Justin Opplinger. And we've got a crash! Big crash! Ted Pullen! Nicholas Caldwell, I think. So Ted Pullen gets away. Somebody else went back to the pit. It was Douglas Carlson. Try to find a replay of it. Here's Ted Pullen leaving the pits from the blimp. Oh, he got turned by Krim.
Yeah, it looks like, I believe the 12 of Thwaites, when he came out, Pullen just tried to move up and kind of give him the space, not knowing that he had someone on his outside, and kind of hooked himself off the nose. You know, like you said, these front stretches are narrow, which, you know, that in turn turns these pit roads are rather narrow as well.
Oh, incredibly narrow. We've seen many, many times, even in the Rail Cup Series, guys having issues in this pit lane. I've seen it happen in Indy cars. Yeah, it seemed like he, just tried to check up a little bit, give Thwaites space, move up, and Krim was there. And tough break for Carlson there, because he just locked up the rear brakes, trying to get checked up for that crash, and makes hefty contact with the inside wall. Bryce Senesac gonna lead us down for stage number 2 over Alan Dobbs, Frank Orsini, Jacob Brower, and Justin Opplinger. Paul Irvin, Michael Thwaites, Alan Fox, Jonathan Cogswell, and Taylor Bertram round out your top 10. And have Senesac lead us down. Pace car getting ready to make that hard left turn. We're going to have 62 laps to go.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks that you just kind of get antsy waiting to get back to that, you know, green flag. It just feels like it takes so long to get around this place under caution.
It definitely does, and the start-finish line being as late as it is doesn't help that, but already going green is Bryce Senesac. These guys are going to be just about up to speed getting into turn 1.
Yeah, and Senesac gets a great jump, gets out there a little far, and, you know, really hoping to just get through these corners fast and kind of make headway. But it looks like Alan Dobbs and Brower are going to have a lot to say about that.
Jacob Brower started on the pole, made a very early pit stop under the first caution on the first lap. Here comes Dobbs to the inside for the race lead. Where does Jacob Brower go? Does he try to follow down to the inside? He's going to let off a little bit early to try to make it down to the inside. Senesac not going to give it up on the top, though. A little bit loose, goes to 0-9, and now that's going to allow Brower to get down to the inside for second. Seems like fresh tires are mighty important here at Indianapolis.
Oh, incredibly. I mean, he's only on roughly 2 green flag laps, older tires than these guys, and they're able to just kind of pretty much get around him and push him aside and just kind of run away.
Yeah, they're making pretty quick work there as Irvin slides up the racetrack a little bit. He's got to check up. Opplinger gets right to his rear bumper, now moves down to the inside. Fox tries to make it 3 wide, going down to the bottom.
Fox wasting no time just throwing caution to the wind there, and he's going to make it work.
Opplinger gives up the spot. Up on top, though, Paul Irvin. He makes that top side work and gets a lot of momentum going into turn number 4. Meanwhile, Opplinger all over the rear bumper of Fox, trying to make something happen. Maybe didn't feel so great about that move happening.
Yeah, and that's just what's great about this track is it's not a very wide track, but you can still see people using, rather different lanes to get different drives, drive off of corner and, really making things work, like Fox did there, going 3 wide, and, they might have not liked it as much, but he definitely made it work and is trying to now make a move on the 48 there.
Yeah, Irvin tried to make it down to the inside of Senesac once again. But that outside lane for the 09 just had just enough speed to keep the 48 up top. And now here comes Irvin trying to use that same momentum up on the top side to keep Alan Fox at bay. Not a whole lot of luck there in the first part of the corner, but the second, rather turn 4, coming up off. Here comes Alan trying to stick with it, but Opplinger is going to move up to the outside.
Yeah, now Alan Fox is going to have to worry about Opplinger getting that same kind of run that we saw Paul Irvin get and reclaim his spot from Alan Fox.
Opplinger up on the top side of Fox here, trying to make it happen. Fox not giving it up. He's going to stay side drafting, and Irvin's going to make that move down to the inside. He's got the right idea. He's got the right positioning. Can he get the braking job done into turn 3? Senesac tries to stay hard on the outside. Can't quite keep it there, though. Paul Irvin up into 3rd place. Justin Opplinger able to get around Alan Fox for now, but Fox with a little bit of a run coming up off of the corner. Here comes Michael Thwaites. You know he's going to be hungry.
Yeah, and Paul Irvin having a wonderful run tonight. Senesac, as usual up front. It's kind of great to see these guys really all starting to mix and match. Where they are and how they're running, and these guys continue to put on good shows, and just it's so much fun to watch. Like these guys are very talented, and it doesn't matter who they are, they can still find ways. As Opplinger looks inside of Senesac here. Not quite gonna get by him.
Senesac's gonna fight him hard. Is this gonna give Fox the chance to get back around? Senesac does fight hard up on the top side, but Opplinger able to stay with it. Fox, he stays up top, trying to follow Opplinger through, and Thwaites goes with him. Might be an ill-advised move, as Thwaites, he might be able to move down to the bottom here to take that position.
Yeah, we're really starting to see that outside line actually come in really well here, and these guys are really able to make it work. I'm not sure if it's going to be great for the longevity of those tires, but they at least can defend themselves pretty well out there on that outside line.
Well, Alan Fox just proved you can attack on the outside as well, as now Michael Thwaites looks to the outside of Opplinger. Fox takes away the 5th position on the outside, and now he's trying to set himself up against the 09 of Senesac, who we know is, he's done a masterclass of defending here today so far. As Fox now has himself a run coming up off the corner. He's got himself some help from Michael Thwaites. Where does Thwaites go? He's kind of staying middle. Fox isn't quite able to get that run. Not quite able to get side by side going into the corner. He's going to have to wait one more.
Yeah, and he's definitely running a little bit of shallower a line there, and just got really close to that left rear bumper there.
I'm
Definitely.
Not sure that was a block I would have tried to make there if I'm the 09. It's now Thwaites moves down to the bottom.
Thwaites rather connected to that 73, just kind of basically pushing him the whole way down that backstretch.
Alan Fox almost able to get clear, but Senesac stays in it up on the top side. Now the 09 slides up the racetrack a little bit more. These guys are gridded up. They're deadlocked 2 by 2 coming up off of turn number 4. Which lane is going to go? Opplinger and Senesac up on the top side. Fox and Thwaites on the bottom. Remember, Senesac has older tires. He might get a little bit loose having a car on his rear end like that. Does a great job still defending up on the outside. And while these guys are playing around, it's allowed the top 3 to pull away by almost 2 seconds as Orsini moves all the way up the racetrack. He's going to get into the wall. Down the racetrack goes Jensen. Everybody moves away okay. But Senesac is able to hold on to 4th place as Fox now again in front of Opplinger.
And that whole little sequence there looked like the old days of when, you know, we would see these guys do that big tandem draft at, you know, Daytona and Talladega, where they would just hook nose to
big time
tail.
loose there for Opplinger. He's coming into the pits. Well, I gotta assume you gotta make 2 stops here. He's making his first one early. Alan Dobbs leads over Jacob Brower, Paul Irvin, Bryce Senesac. Still trying to defend from Alan Fox, and I gotta wonder how frustrated is that 73 getting, thinking, I know I've got pressure tires, I know I could get up there and race with these guys, but instead I'm just unable to make this pass.
Yeah, you know, Senesac is actually fighting off very well, you know, from, you know, he kind of lost a lot of ground really quickly and you know, really
Fox has got
struggled
him
on
this
that
time.
restart. I almost wonder if he kind of let him go there, you know, because, you know, I feel like running that outside line is definitely a little harsher on your tires, and he's probably definitely starting to have a little bit of a worn right front, maybe a little bit of plowing through corner entry and getting a little loose off. So probably just kind of let Fox have it and kind of just stick in line and try to defend from Thwaites.
You might be exactly right there. You know, that outside lane, especially at this stage of the game, just before halfway, you're not going to have as much rubber down up there. It's going to tear up your tires a little bit more. You need more cars to jump up there and kind of rubber that in more so you can get that grip and hold on to that grip for longer. I mean, we know there's speed up there sometimes, as Senesac now once again trying to use that outside to defend from the 12 of Thwaites. A little bit loose there for Senesac, but I think he might have used up most of, if not all of his stuff, doing this defending up on top. He's going to have help from the 84 of Cogswell.
Yeah, and to that, you know, we're going to need more people up there to really rubber it in, like you said, and, you know, maybe kind of help. Wow, the 84 got really loose on quarter entry there.
Yeah,
I wonder if maybe Senesac checked up a little bit earlier than he was anticipating there.
Could have just not had his focus on his markers there.
No, I mean, when you have a car right in front of you that closely, one, it could be hard to see the marker that you've been using depending on where it is, if it's on the wall or if it's, you know, one of the signs above. You know, you're really focused in on if that car makes any kind of sudden move as he crosses over Thwaites just inside his door there. You know, it's very easy to lose your marks if you're really paying attention to the car in front of you. So it's very easy to overdrive, I believe, at this track.
Oh, it definitely is. Less is more in a stock car in Indianapolis. When you look at the 86, he's getting up there in no man's land. That's really not doing any favors for his tires. Yeah, it was fast. He got down in front of the 26, but man, that car is going to be hurting in about 10 laps if he keeps running up there.
Yeah, that high line definitely is wearing things out a lot quicker than, you know, running the traditional inside line. And I think once we get around, you know, crunch time where we get around, you know, 15, 10 to go, I think it's going to start working a little bit better. You know, if we do have a late race restart, you know, around that time, I think we're going to see a lot of very head-to-head, side-by-side battles a little bit of tandem, drafting, trying to, separate yourself. But, I think later in this race, that's going to be really rubbered up, and you're going to see some people kind of migrate up there. Oh, as Krim kind of enters a little deep there, way up the track.
That was an awkward entry for all three of those guys, the 92, the 24, and the 47. Everybody able to get through okay, but that was looking like almost certain contact getting into turn number 1. Jump back up towards the front of the field as Senesac still able to hold on to 5th place in front of Thwaites. Alan Fox is able to get about a second on this group, as you can see Ted Pullen missing the rear end, getting out of the way here on the inside.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Fox come in here soon. I think he's really pushing this car, trying to gain every little bit of time back to, Irvin and Brower and Dobbs, trying to gain any kind of time back that he can get from those three on his own before making a stop.
Oh man, Thwaites gonna try to get down to the inside of Senesac, but the 15, he's been running that bottom side. That's gonna be a tough pass to make. Senesac able to use Ted Pullen as a pick.
And, going back to the same, statement we were making about how narrow this place is, it's also hard to really have a lapped car get out of the way because, the higher he goes, he's going to be in those marbles. He's going to get a little loose. He doesn't want to be up there. He wants to just kind of be a non-factor. But, if he puts himself in a place where he's going to be loose getting off, he's going to quickly make himself a factor. And so, there's not really much of a place that a lapped car can truly go, especially down this front straightaway.
Yeah, there is not a lot of space for lappers to go as Thwaites going to try to make a pass. No, he doesn't. You can see Joe Darnell coming up out of the pit lane there. He is 1 lap down. Joshua Vidal going down to the inside, or rather that's Taylor Bertram going to the inside of Jacob Jensen. Bertram big time sideways coming up off of turn number 2, though. He's going to lose a little bit of time.
And another thing with this track, for me at least, is it's very deceiving, with how much speed you think you can carry through these corners. I feel like every once in a while when I get here, after running, say 40, 50 laps, as we have right now, you start kind of thinking like, oh, I could carry a lot more speed. This corner's not as hard of a left turn as it looks. And then that's when you find yourself over driving and kind of getting off your line and maybe even catching that wall on the exit of turn 1 or turn 2.
Well, yeah, that's just kind of something you've got to try to compartmentalize or something. But this track is not going to have more grip than it did on the first lap of this restart. You might think you can carry some more speed and, it might seem like you're giving up a lot, but setting up that corner exit, getting on the throttle at the right time, that is key, especially with these straightaways being as long as they are. And this battle for the lead, as we're watching, is starting to heat up. Brower closing in on Alan Dobbs. Paul Irvin started to close in on these guys, but has since backed away a little bit more. Alan Fox, he's a good 3.5 seconds behind Paul Irvin. Bryce Senesac still holding off these hungry drivers outside of the top 5.
Yeah, and it's crazy to see him just really holding his own there. He may even be just fast enough that it's kind of probably frustrating to Thwaites. Just Thwaites not able to really capitalize, and as he sits behind him and gets run after run, he's going to start really trying to push that car and basically wear his stuff down to where he kind of equalizes to Senesac, and then Senesac's kind of done his job in holding his place.
Yeah, I think he hit the nail on the head there, and he's done a great job of doing just that. Every time Thwaites has gone down to the inside, he's burned up more stuff. He's had to let up off of the gas because he can't use up all the racetrack. We've got pit stops behind Orsini and Cogswell. Orsini gets into the inside wall. This is a very tough pit lane to get on. Alan Dobbs makes the pass over Jacob Brower.
Yeah, Brower sliding off that corner there. And like you said, this pit road is very very hard to get on. It'll come up on you rather quickly. I mean, it kind of feels like the same as Pocono, where you come off that last corner, and if you're not committed to make that pit stop that lap, you might as well just not even try, because you're going to end up putting yourself in a sticky situation where you lock up the brakes or slide yourself around rather quickly.
Alan Dobbs holds out of the race lead, but Brower isn't letting him go. Fox, Senesac, and Thwaites all come into the pits this time around. So we'll see when Alan Dobbs comes into the pits. Jacob Brower back up to the rear bumper of that 38 machine, not letting him get away at all.
Yeah, and Brower is definitely listening very closely to when Dobbs makes his call, because he's probably going to want to, jump on and dive into that corner, or dive into that pit stop, as we see Paul Irvin, he makes his way down, as well as Jensen and Bertram.
Here comes Orsini. He's fast. He's up on the top side. Going to take away the exit from Alan Dobbs. That might benefit Brower a little bit. Not able to take advantage. 3 car lengths down the back straightaway. 8.5 seconds back to third place, Joshua Vidal.
I feel like if I'm Brower here, I think I want to throw off Dobbs and kind of leave Dobbs hanging, and just, you don't necessarily have to call your pit stop out, because there's not anybody behind you. Just kind of throw yourself down that pit road before Dobbs can make that call, and just kind of leave him hanging out there.
He's coming in this time, Jacob Brower.
He definitely heard me.
Yeah, gets it locked down. I think there's a little bit of a tape delay, so even if they were listening, they probably wouldn't have been able to hear you at that point. But Jacob Brower comes in. Nobody follows him this time around.
No, I'm signed into Brower. He's my, I'm his crew chief.
That's illegal.
I know. I'm just playing.
Down the back straightaway here, Alan Dobbs all by himself. He's increasing the gap on second place, Joshua Vidal. Jacob Brower, he's already come in to make his pit stop. Justin Opplinger, he came in at lap 41. See where Brower comes out in relation to Irvin. 1 lap difference.
Yep, and it seems Dobbs has made his way down as well.
Yes, he has. So having to take the access road is going to keep you a little bit slower. Irvin coming in 1 lap prior is going to be able to overtake the 17 into turn 3. Fox is going to try to follow him through up on the top side. Not quite enough. Joshua Vidal stays out with Daniel Krim, Dustin Carroll, Mike Campeggio, and Matt Cochran. See where Alan Dobbs filters out against Paul Irvin. Oh, this is not going to be close.
Yeah, and that right there shows you how different just a lap makes. Irvin was a lap earlier than Brower. Brower's right on the rear end of Irvin. Dobbs comes in a lap later than Brower, and now he is rather far, just making it back on track behind Senesac back there. So now Dobbs has a longer battle ahead of him to get back up to that point spot.
Vidal, Carroll, Campeggio, and Cochran come in, leaving Daniel Krim out all by himself as the lone driver yet to pit on this cycle. And I tell you what's interesting about that is that as we look at the pit time, the total pit time, Paul Irvin ran a 50:52. Looking at Alan Dobbs, he ran a 50:27. So that time must have been gained on the outlap for Paul Irvin, or Alan Dobbs had himself a really tough entry into pit lane, which we did not see.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a number of different things, you know, that could also alter that as well. You know, staying out 2 laps longer than Irvin, you know, allowed Irvin to get out there with them fresh tires to, you know, where he can push and make time a lot faster than Dobbs, and essentially just track him down while, you know, he's not in the same area to track him down, but he's essentially still running down Dobbs.
Let's see what Dobbs' entry looked like. That's the wrong one. Did a good job on entry, but he was off for a considerable amount of time in turns 3 and 4. Back up front, Brower to the inside of Irvin for the race lead.
Yeah, now Irvin's going to have to use up some of that stuff, you know, on that outside line just to keep Brower at bay. And Brower, we know how hard he runs. He's not going to give up very easily. He might kind of hang back and kind of just let Irvin do his thing, and, you know, just periodically try to put some pressure on Irvin at, you know, random situations of the, you know, on the track, and force him to use up stuff rather quickly, you know, quicker than he wanted to.
We've got about 35 laps, 37 laps to figure it out. We're going to go ahead and step side by side. We'll be right back with more racing action here at Indianapolis.
Allow Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
Racing high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Racing has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
live here at Indianapolis. New leader, Jacob Brower.
Yeah, and Brower's kind of put a little bit of a gap between him and Irvin. I wonder if Irvin might think about saving a little bit here, trying to save his stuff a little bit. Maybe if Brower makes a pit stop before he can then kind of put the pedal to the floor and try to make up some time before getting back around to make his pit stop. Or I'm kind of wondering what may be the things running through some of these drivers' heads.
Here's the pass down the back straightaway. Brower gets to the inside, side drafts Irvin just a bit. Irvin says, I don't think I want to fight this too hard right now. Well, maybe not. He's going to fight pretty hard up on the outside. Looked like he was letting him go, but now this time is where he lets him go. No, he didn't let him go. He did not at all.
Oh,
He got him
dragged
into the
the
wall.
wall. So yeah, that changes exactly what I said. I don't think he was really saving anything there other than maybe his fenders.
Made it happen. Now he's holding on to that race lead. He's got just over half a second over Paul Irvin. Alan Dobbs closing in on these guys. Has been consistently quicker each time around. That time around by over half a second.
Yeah, Dobbs is definitely flying. He wants that spot back from Brower. He wants to be able to set sail and ride off into the sunset on this one.
That's what he would like, but he's still got 30 laps to go and another pit stop coming. Top three all came in within the last 10 laps, so they can go a considerable amount more. Here comes Dobbs down to the inside of Irvin. That's going to be for second place. How hard does Irvin fight? He concedes that position.
And I almost wonder if he wounded that thing enough that he just doesn't have as much of a straight line speed as Dobbs and Brower are able to carry. Because I mean, I know it's not a massive touch that he had, but it was definitely a hard hit, and could easily upset any part of this car to where he's got to really think of where he can run and how to run just to be able to keep some kind of straightaway speed.
Straightaway speed is going to be king here, and well, it looks like Alan Dobbs has a lot of it. Able to make it around Irvin pretty easily as Irvin tries to hold on to some of that straightaway speed. He might be trying to save some of these tires for the second half of this run. Alan Dobbs, however, he's been on it from the get-go. Ever since coming out of pit lane, he's been consistently 2/10, 3/10, sometimes even 5 or 6 quicker than the race leader. He's doing a real good job right now. Tell you what, with one more pit stop to go with the leader, big time sideways there out of Jacob Brower. The leader right there. Everybody got to make one pit stop. Might be Alan Dobbs' day without a caution flag or anything like that. As there goes the 17 trying to drift it into the corner. Doing his best Kyle Larson impression. And into the wall goes Alan Dobbs just a little bit.
Yeah, and I think a lot of these guys, they recognize rather quickly who is the strongest car. And, Brower knows that Dobbs is just a touch quicker. And, he, feel is now putting it on and really trying to step away from Dobbs as much as he can. And really going to have to try to, think of another strategy, kind of like he did before, where he, pitted just before Dobbs did, and I think strategy is gonna be what beats Dobbs here tonight.
Dobbs had to move all the way down to the bottom to try to overtake that number 8 machine. He's gonna complete that pass. 0.4 of a second is the lead. 28 laps remaining when they cross the stripe. If you're Irvin, you want to stay with these guys. You don't want to let them get too far away, because if they start battling, they're going to fall right back to you. and they're going to waste their tires doing it.
Absolutely, and it's just going to be a major benefit to you if you can stay as close as possible and just be there. You don't necessarily want them to wreck or anything, but it definitely can change things really quickly.
Here comes Joshua Vidal down to the inside of Bertram in the 86. Bertram going to dive it in deep, but goes way wide on entry. We'll see if he can cut it down to stay next to Vidal. Slides up the racetrack, but still keeps a fender next to him. Going to have to concede that position this time around. Might try the crossover, though, coming up off of turn number 2. Here comes Bertram. He's there. Bertram trying to take that 7th or 8th position back. He's almost going to get it. Got big time sideways into the corner. They're both sideways coming through turn 3. Bertram going to get loose coming up off of the corner. That's going to allow Vidal to get a better entry and be able to clear for the 8th position. Getting closer up front, though. It's just 0.2 of a second. Now we start to get into the point where Dobbs could really start to get that 17 loose in front of him. Trying to play the draft game. Sorry, Jordan.
And no, you're good. And you know that just having someone like Dobbs behind you is going to give you a little bit of a nervous factor, because no matter how good of a driver you are, you could be better than Dobbs, but just having someone who is on you and chasing you, like, it gives you that where you're mirror driving, you're not necessarily paying attention to your marks. It's, you're going to try to find every which way that you can to throw that driver off behind you without throwing yourself off, and that's a very tall task to ask of anyone.
I tell you what, I would almost rather be chasing in this position. The 38 is in the spot I would like to be in because I know I'm quicker. I know I can take it easy and just wait for this guy in front of me to make a mistake. However, as these guys work lap 70, they've got 16 laps on their tires. There's probably no more than 10 laps before they come in to make a pit stop. When does that sense of urgency start to rise in the 38 of Alan Dobbs? When does he start to push it a little bit too hard and make that mistake that Jacob Brower wants him to?
Talking with Dobbs, he's always a very level-headed racer. He always seems rather calm and, fairly optimistic. I mean, we've had a couple conversations with him this year across both the Xfinity and the Cup Series, and he's always got some kind of belief in himself and rather calmness to himself that, he's just going to wait for the other driver to make the mistakes or maybe make a split-second decision on a strategy that's, going to throw off that driver and ultimately find himself in some kind of better position.
Advantage to Brower through the first half of that quarter there, or first half of the lap here. Brower goes a little bit wide. The slow car is going to be down on the bottom. Brower has to get up out of the way, and Dobbs is going to have a nice run down the front straightaway. Where does he go with it? Is it going to be enough to get to the inside of that 17? 23 laps to go. Dobbs goes a little bit wide, going to try to cut down on his exit, stays within half a car length. Moves down to the inside, getting into 2. Brower has to give room, but he's got the lane coming up off of the corner. Dobbs a little bit loose. He's going to try to look down low, but nothing doing quite yet.
Yeah, Dobbs is really pushing. He's throwing that thing around. He's putting it just where he needs to just kind of put that pressure on Brower to make every perfect decision that he can.
And I tell you what, Brower is doing an excellent job here holding on to this race lead. You've got one of the best in the business behind you here is Alan Dobbs. He's going to come into the pits. He saw how well the undercut worked that last time around, and this time he didn't play around in turns 3 and 4.
And that's what I was that's what I was looking for. He had that happen to him, like you just said, and he's going to make that decision, and essentially with Brower staying out here, it's going to make Dobbs able to make up a lot of time and possibly even over jump him there.
He's definitely going to try. Alan Fox came in this time around as well as Frank Orsini. Jacob Brower stays out. Coming to 22 to go this time around. Here comes Brower. Bryce Senesac from second, almost 8 seconds back. Waits comes in as well. Jacob Jensen gonna stay out. Paul Irvin stays out as well. He's gonna take over the race lead. And now it's tough here. At a lot of racetracks, you'd hope by staying out, you could pin these other guys a lap down. You could take advantage of their strategy failing. But at a track this big, you're able to pit without losing a lap to the leader. I mean, you run about 55-second lap, and these guys are running anywhere between 48 and 50 to 53 seconds on pit lane. 48 is kind of an anomaly on that page. As here comes Paul Irvin.
Yeah, and I mean, the only thing that you can really hope for by staying out is kind of, as we see, I think that was Michael Self grab the wall on his entry as well. The only thing we can really, hope for is kind of what happened to Opplinger, where he stayed out and made a pit just in time before having a caution come out. Like, that's really your only saving grace.
Yeah, we saw how well it worked for that Opplinger machine. He's able to get out front, almost won stage number 1, but Dobbs got around him at the end.
Yeah, and I think the biggest difference between Dobbs and Opplinger and Brower is, Dobbs is able to kind of put his car right where he wants it and has a phenomenal drive off the corner and really set himself up for a very fast, front and back stretch, and really be able to kind of just basically smoothly and methodically just make the moves he needs to and wants to.
So Alan Dobbs, he's got about 5.5 seconds over Jacob Brower, who pitted 1 lap later. Paul Irvin, another 3 seconds back, who pitted 2 laps after Dobbs. This is a pass for position. Opplinger has found himself off strategy, has not yet made a pit stop.
Yeah, and like you said, like, staying out as long as some of these guys are, it's not really going to work in your favor. You're not able to lap anybody. You're not really going to make up time. At some point, you just have to realize that, once you get passed by, for Opplinger there, he gets passed by Dobbs. You have to realize that, you're not going to gain anything anymore. So just come down, get your service, and just either pray or run like hell to get everything back.
Well, yeah, and you want to get it done, especially now that you just got passed. You want to get it done as quick as possible so you don't lose a lap to him in case that caution does come out. Doesn't look like he's going to do it this time, but Joshua Vidal stays out. He's holding on to the race lead right now. Daniel Krim in second place. Campeggio in third in that 24, and then Matt Cochran in fourth place. Alan Dobbs is closing in on him very quickly.
Yeah, in the case for some of these guys, like Vidal and Krim and Campeggio, they're probably just hoping that, the other guy makes a pit before they do, so they can kind of grab an extra point for leading a lap and kind of just at least gain something extra than you would if you just, stayed on the same strategy as everyone and just pitted when you needed to.
Dobbs doing a pretty good job now as he's got to check up just a little bit there for the 4 car. It's Cochran.
Yeah, and for Dobbs, I mean, he's going to be about 4 seconds ahead of Brower once this all cycles around. So he's going to have some room to play with. You know, he can kind of lay off a little bit, save some tire, you know, and just kind of work at it, you know, and just kind of manage the gap and not really have any pressure like he was putting on Brower, you know, right before that pit cycle.
Brower's been consistently quicker these last couple times around. He's gotten that 5.5 second gap down to just about 4 with 15 laps to go. I tell you what, Paul Irvin, he's doing a real good job just behind. It's down to 2nd and 7/10 between 2nd and 3rd place. Whoa, that's a big move there by the 38, moving down to the bottom, or 36 rather, moving down to the bottom in front of Jacob Brower. Checks him up just a bit.
Yeah, that was a holy crap moment for sure. Brower wasn't expecting that whatsoever. I know for me, like, I typically, if I ever get the chance to pass a lapped car, my want is for that lap car to always go high. I don't really know why, but it's just like it's always comforting to me if they're just up high and out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, the only exception being that I can think of is if you're at a plate track and you're in line, just go where I'm not, you know? But at a track like Indy, you even talked about earlier how it's so hard for a lapped car to get out of the way. I mean, if you go up high, you get up into the marbles, and everybody coming up off of the corners is going to try to get right up next to that wall. So it's so tough to get out of the way. You want to stay to the inside because, you know, that gives people space on the outside to pass you, especially on the exit of the corner. But, you know, we've seen how guys can maybe take a little bit too much, try to get around a lapped car, and smack that wall.
And like we've said a couple times, you know, smacking that wall, you're gonna screw up all the aero that you have and kind of set yourself back. And you know, you never know if you're passing a lap car, he catches the wall, it's gonna shoot them down into you and, you know, just destroy you. And any involvement with the wall, whether it's you or someone else, is never a good time.
No. Especially at a track as big and as fast as Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We've got 14 laps to go this time around, and the gap is 3.5 seconds between first and second.
I wouldn't be just surprised if we see this gap get down to, you know, about 1.5 seconds, and then you start seeing it kind of stabilize where, you know, Alan Dobbs is just saving stuff right now. He's still got a lot of time, you know, at a place like here. You know, it's over. You know, I'm not good at quick math. I've said it before, but I just take that, you know, 14 laps to go times 2. That's at least 28 plus miles to go.
It's 35.
Aha. Quick math.
About to be 32.5. 3.4 seconds is the gap. Starting to close down once again. That time by it was only 0.2 difference. Gonna need a little bit more if you're Jacob Brower. You've got Irvin filling up your rearview mirror.
And Irvin, I mean, he's having a wonderful run tonight, so I don't expect him to really throw caution to win, but I definitely think he's going to push rather hard and try to get, that second place finish at the very least.
Well, he's going to slide up and make contact with the 36 of red, and around goes Irvin. The caution comes out. Contact with the lapped car sends Irvin out of the race. You can see the hefty engine smoke pulling away from that car. That is terminal damage. At least 30 minutes of repairs, and he is not going to have enough time to get that fixed. What in the world?
Just kind of looks like Irvin kind of expected the lap car to kind of concede a lot easier, and back off there on the corner exit, and may have even thought that he was fully clear and was good to go, and it just...
But, I mean, he goes way wide up the racetrack, and he comes down the racetrack. He's nowhere near the wall.
No, he didn't wall out at all
He
whatsoever
didn't
there.
even try to get to the wall when he was hitting him. It's just poor race awareness of a lapped car, not...
Yeah, and that goes right to what I was saying, is if I'm passing a lapped car, just go straight to the wall, outside, stay away from me. And that's just unfortunate for Paul there. I hate that I was just saying he was having a wonderful run, and it just gone in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, I mean, the 36, he goes way wide, comes down the racetrack, and it's like he doesn't know there's a car around him. Just hooks him. Everybody's pitting up front, though.
Oh yeah, I expected everyone to come, just simply, having everything fresh and ready to go.
Poplinger and
I almost
Cochran stay
wonder-
out, having made green flag pit stops. Just 6 laps ago.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one of those things where Poplinger just happened to catch a break, and now him and Cochran are at the front of this thing, and 6 laps is not a ton of time. I mean, it is enough time that they may be a little unequal there, but it's going to make everything interesting.
Definitely going to make things interesting here.
I mean, we just
Cochran.
basically put 3 of the fastest cars all night, right there within the same bee's nest. And then Alan Fox, can't forget about him. Thwaites was up there as well, and Senesac was making moves. Oppinger's falling back.
Yeah, it looks
Wonder
like
if he
he's
got
got
a
some sort of penalty.
speed.
See if he comes into the pit lane this time. Get some fresh tires after he stayed out. He's definitely coming into pit.
Could this maybe be another little bit of a strategy? Does, maybe Justin has a crystal ball, he sees another, caution coming possibly? Get himself out of harm's way, and, maybe some of them top guys will get themselves, in some trouble.
I don't know, with 10 laps to go, going all the way back to 16th at a track as tough to pass at as Indianapolis. Doesn't seem like a strategy type of call. I mean, I think he had some sort of penalty or something, had to go to the back of the field, and just decided, all right, well, may as well take these fresh tires.
Yeah, but it seems he is 16th. I mean, I'm not sure if he did get a penalty, it might put him at the tail end. But for now, he's sitting 16th. So, I mean, he's fast enough that I think he can make quick work of some of these guys back here. Some of these guys got damaged. Some of these guys are, you know, not quite up to the same standards as Opplinger. You know, he might, you know, make a good run and maybe force some three wides and some sketchy moves, but
Yeah, but guys like Dobbs, Brower, Thwaites, Fox, Senesac, Jensen, they're all good. They don't have damage. It's
Oh,
going to be tough to
100%.
get around them, especially with fresh tires. So Opplinger, he's got a hole to dig himself out of. We're going to have 9 laps to go on the restart with Matt Cochran up on the top side of the racetrack. Pace car makes that hard left turn. The field is in the hand of Matt Cochran. He's going to take the early green flag. Try not to spin his tires as Alan Dobbs tries to get down to the inside. He's going to be able to get his nose down to the inside before turn number 1. And Brower looks down to the inside. Not quite enough to make it 3 wide. Cochran holding strong up on the top side. Still side by side for the race lead. Goes way up the racetrack, and that's going to allow the 17 to his inside. 17 not quite clear. He's going to try to clear himself down the back straightaway, and he does. Just barely.
yeah, and you can see Vidal making a inside run on Cochran there as well. He's going to have something to say about this, as Fox is kind of pinned in that little bit of a box up there, not able to get around Cochran or get down to kind of make a move here. He might try to force this thing 3 wide just to get around these guys if he can find his way out of that box.
Little bit of contact between the 4 and the 26, and now Fox going to try to push that top lane past. He wants to be able to get down to the bottom, get around the 4, but he knows that if that 4 car can hold that outside the way he can, his best bet might be to help push him, and that was almost contact if it wasn't there between Vidal and Fox. Here comes Fox down to the inside, trying to take away 3rd place, and he does. Matt Cochran going to concede that position, and Michael Thwaites pushing big time down the back straightaway to take away 4th.
Yeah, now I'm almost wondering if it's a bit too late. I know it's not quite a full second. It's about 8/10, but with how these two up front have been running all night, you know, I think it's a little bit too late to make a run for these guys because, I mean, those two are in a league of their own, class of their own right now, just kind of sailing away. You know, Thwaites is going to really have to stick to the ass end of Fox there to really make any kind of push.
I tell you what, Fox and Thwaites, their best bet is if these guys up in front of them get side by side, or if a caution comes out, both are equally as possible as Brower gets right up to the rear bumper of that 38 machine coming up off of turn number 2, though. The 38 gets himself a nice run coming up off. It stays about a car length.
Yeah, and I mean, another thing for Fox, I mean, these guys have been running so hard that they may just collect each
Brower to
other.
the outside. He tried hard. Now he moves down to the inside. Almost contact going through turn 4. They're side by side coming up off of the corner. Brower falls back in line. 6 laps to go as they cross the start-finish line. Just 15 miles here in Indianapolis.
And to go with what I was saying before we got a little bit of excitement there, you know, Fox has actually run down these guys to about 3/10 of a gap, and we're really closing in
Caution
quick.
is out. Dustin Carroll with problems.
That once again is going to change everything up here. These guys are truly making this interesting again, as always, and I mean, I love it.
See what happened to Dustin here. Oh, contact. Obviously contact, but head on into the wall goes that 92.
Yeah, and that thing just expires rather quickly there.
Gets into the 69. Orsini taps him, and just a little bit too much of a correction. Well, we've got 5 laps to go with a caution at this point. That is likely going to send us to overtime. I'm going to go ahead and step aside real quick. Be right back with the restart and let you know if anybody pits. You'll see it if it happens, but we'll get you caught up.
Allow extreme scoring to do the work for you.
Racing high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Racing has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, rickmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
I tell you what, I know I say this every week, but if I would have had extreme scoring or when I ran my league, I would probably still be running my league because they would have taken so much off of my plate. You know, I was over here doing points, you know, through trying to do it through iRacing, doing things manually. I couldn't set up a chase. But I mean, these guys, they set it up good. Give you that optional win and you're in, little minimum participation, so you don't have guys coming in here and try to steal a championship. They do a lot to make it easy for league owners and make it fair for the drivers too. So definitely appreciate everything that they do for this league. And obviously the Cup Series. This is the Extreme Motorsports Elite Xfinity Series. So.
And one thing that I love is you know, this is you know, this is a pastime for a lot of us, and you know, we don't always get to run every single week. So the fact that they even have a way that you can build in, you know, just provisionals, so you know, a guy just gets the points of the last place driver, and you know, that's a great thing because a lot of us can't just run every single week. So you know, getting a provisional or two, you know, to keep us, you know, in a tight battle if we're right there, you know, in the championship hunt. I mean, it really, you know, makes it less pressure to try to be home every single week, all season long.
Yeah, these guys throw together an amazing product, and you get to see it at work here. Got their own paint scheme program as well, so a lot of these paint schemes that you see, you know, somebody had created separately for the Extreme Paints uploader, also along with Trading Paints. So, well, we've got them doubled up. 3 to go, gonna be 2 to go at the line. Technically, it's green, white, checker rules, but not quite. The only difference being that this is still the scheduled distance. So if the caution comes out, we will still have 3 more attempts at a green, white checker. However, if not, while it's still a 2-lap shootout, this does not go down as an overtime finish, and you know, we finish off in 95 out of 95 laps. Do we get free racing?
You know, I think we're getting free racing. You know, with how these guys have been running, they're pushing every little bit of car they have out of this thing. So I don't think we're quite done yet. Got some hungry guys behind them as we sit here and we roll down to that restart zone. A little bit of bumping, a little bit of door-and-door action as everybody gets out of line, and we're gonna go right to caution.
Daniel
I
Krim,
told you we're
Ted
getting free
Bowen.
racing.
Yeah, you knew it was coming.
You know, it's my favorite line from one of these movies I just watched recently with my kid. I can feel it in my jellies. You know, definitely probably a situation of some tire spin, some people not really ready. You know, there's a number of different things could go on there, and it just changes everything again.
I think guys are just getting a little antsy, trying to anticipate the start, get whatever spots that they could, but just didn't end up panning out for some. Because we've got 4 drivers with hefty damage: Dustin Carroll, Ted Pullen, Paul Urban, and Michael Self. Alan Dobbs stopping on the racetrack. Not quite a red flag. He must be waiting on the pace car. Everybody was stopped, so this is our first red flag of the XMS season. Let's just back it up and get a little bit of respect for the fact that everybody stopped to wait for the pace car. This was an impromptu red flag. Look, everybody stopped. A couple guys in the back.
Even someone like Mike Campeggio back there who's hurting to get to pit lane, just coming to a complete stop there, and
impromptu
kind of
red flag.
waiting for it.
Well,
you know, Orsini, man, he got ran over by that pace car.
We don't often, I don't think red flags exist in iRacing, but it is pretty cool to see that the respect level of these guys, everybody stopped to wait for that pace car, and everybody gave each other plenty of space. So, you know, we'll call that a 5-second red flag. But nonetheless, we stopped the field at the exit of turn number 4. Now we're getting ready for overtime once again. Pits are going to be open this time.
Not entirely sure if we'll see anybody, you know, in that front group make any kind of a jump. You know, maybe someone, you know, Matt Cochran just came down at 91. Kalau came down at 91. Senior could make a jump, you know, get himself some fresh tires, maybe find himself a couple more spots, and not really going to lose a ton of places, you know, if you're one of these back, you know, 5 or so cars. You're only going to lose back to 15th at this point right now. So we could see some of those guys back there a little bit, kind of make a little bit of a jump just to, you know, make a not so great finish a little bit better. But as far as that top group, you know, none of them coming down.
Take a look to see if we get the one to green this time. I can't imagine we will. We do. 1 to green. Go ahead and show you some of the highlights of the race so far. Joshua Vidal gets into some contact early on. all the way to the stage end where Alan Dobbs won stage number 1. Paul Irvin got turned around.
Yeah, and that's such an unfortunate happening to Paul. You know, he was having such a wonderful run tonight. Really up there in contention for a top 5, you know, at the very least. And, I mean, he was running second or third at the time, and that's such a heartbreaker.
Of course, the reason for the last caution. Back live, the pace car has gone off. It's Dobbs, Brower, Bertram, Thwaites, Jensen, Fox, Weatherby, Cogswell, Opplinger, and Orsini in the top 10. Dobbs gets away by a couple of car lengths, getting down into turn number 1. All the way up the racetrack goes Cogswell. He's not going to be able to do much up there, but he's going to try. To the inside of Thwaites goes Jacob Jensen, not quite enough, but Brower tried to set himself up a nice run coming up off of turn number 2.
Yep. Quick and give Dobbs, you know, that draft spot to where he could make a move coming out of that last turn. I think Brower's just going to kind of bide his time and try to make that move, you know, coming to the checkered flag.
He's getting right up to the rear bumper. He's trying to cut down to the inside. Does he have enough of a run to make that pass happen? We're going to stay green to the white flag. One more lap to go. 2.5 miles at the oldest, most prestigious track in America. Dobbs holds onto a pretty wheel through turn 1. A little bit to the outside goes Brower, going to try to cut down through the back straightaway. But nothing doing there. It's 2 car lengths down the back straightaway for for Alan Dobbs. Not Josh Dobbs. 2 more corners. Here comes Brower down to the inside. He gets into the bumper of him. Sideways goes the 38. He's still holding on. Here comes Brower to the inside once again. There's more contact. Sideways again is the 38. He's going to come down the racetrack into Brower. There's contact. And Michael Thwaites, he moves up to the top side. They're crashing across the front stretch. The race leaders crash, and Michael Thwaites wins over Taylor Bertram and Alan Fox.
And you know, I just said to you earlier in this race that Thwaites was going to find his way into jumping on leaders getting into kind of trouble. I just said it, and it's insane. Like, he just was ready there in the right spot, finds his way through, and wins this race. And I wish he could get out and kiss the virtual bricks at this point.
And I tell you what, Michael Thwaites, he did himself a good job bringing Menards to victory lane here in Indianapolis for the first time since 2011, when Paul Menard got the job done for Papa John, not Papa John's, his father, John Menard. Got the Menards team to victory lane. Once again, it happens here this time, 2024, the XMS Elite Xfinity Series. Michael Thwaites is going to burn it down here at or around the start-finish line.
And that's going to feel absolutely amazing. I mean, he's been in position, you know, just based off of strategy alone and everything like that all season long, and finding himself some good finishes, and it just he prevails. I know it wasn't necessarily a major strategy call that got him in position this time around, but it just finds himself, you know, in the win.
Yeah, he definitely found himself in one there, and we're going to go ahead and talk with our third place finisher, Alan Fox. Alan, it's Liam and Jordan up in the booth. You got a copy.
Hey guys, how are you?
Doing pretty good, man. I tell you what, you had a lot of fans up in the chat. You had Garrett Smorrow rooting for you, living the dream, rooting for you. Brian Moran, the Moran family. A lot of people rooting for you in chat. You come home with the third place finish. How does it feel?
Yeah, it's fun having those guys in the chat. They actually sent me a text on that last restart there. They were like, I hate that we don't play video games anymore. We just watch Al race. So it's fun they're here watching. That was a hell of a finish. I don't know how I missed Jacob coming back across the track. So just lucky to come away with the third.
Yeah, what was going through your mind? You're coming up off of turn number 4. I mean, through those last couple, you see them getting together. But when you see them both come across the racetrack, what goes through your head at that point coming to the checkers?
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look at the replay, but it looks to me like Brower got to his inside and just got ran down to the dirt. So I'll have to see if that's accurate or what happened. But I saw them go in, and I was like, they're definitely coming back up. So just lucky I missed it. Mike won. That was a great move by him. Just pissed that I almost got spun out on that second to last restart because that dropped me from 3rd to 5th, and that's why I was very happy to be in 3rd because I saw that coming the whole race.
But you did a fantastic job through and through. You were definitely one that was exciting to watch. Who do you want to give a shout out to for such a strong run here at Indianapolis?
Well, all those friends of mine that are in the chat giving you guys hell every week, and Extreme for putting all this on, you guys for doing the broadcast, just everybody that puts it all together so we can have fun here every week.
Well, awesome stuff. Congratulations on the podium finish. Which team should we send you back to?
Primetime Motorsports, sir.
All right. Appreciate you, and talking again hopefully soon.
Hopefully next week. Take it easy.
All right. Now we're looking for second place, Taylor Bertram. Take another look at the final lap here between the two leaders. Do not see Taylor Bertram, so we might just have to jump up to Michael Thwaites. Hey Michael, it's Liam and Jordan up in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
I tell you what, man, that's probably not the way you expected to win this thing, but I tell you what,
No.
it's an incredible drive you did, keeping yourself in position and getting her done. Walk us through that last lap.
I mean, I was just ready to finish 3rd, and then going into, I think it was 3, I saw them kind of start. I think Jacob got Alan loose a little bit, and I was like, okay, or maybe it was even out of 2, but and I saw him. I'm like, oh man, they're gonna wreck. And I'm like, I'm just pushing it hard because I'm like, okay, they may get loose or something. And sure enough, they did, coming out of 4. And I just was watching, just driving by them. I couldn't believe it.
Well, Jordan, since you didn't get second place, I'll give you question number 2.
Yeah, so I've been very big on you this season, especially after COTA, where you pulled off a great pit strategy and moved yourself way up the leaderboard, restarted that whole race, from the front. And what goes into just trying to figure out these little strategy calls that you seem to make every week that kind of just puts you in a better position?
Honestly, I really have no answer for that. I just go with like the race flow, and sometimes I pit based off of when other people pit because I know that they're fast and I want to try to either be on the same tires as them or something like that. As far as the COTA thing, I knew that would really get me forward after the pit stop, after the stage, because I knew nobody would pit. So I was just rolling the dice really, and it really did pay off because I think I made up like 5 spots total from where I was running. But tonight was just basically pitting with other people, and then the cautions kind of just fell in good times and then also in bad times. So, but
Yeah.
great race. I'm happy for it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had just been saying to Liam, I found a feeling in my stomach that I was like, Michael Thwaites going to find his way into victory lane just based off of a strategy call or being able to, jump over somebody, the leader's having, some kind of trouble. And sure enough, happens right there at the end. And, congratulations to you getting the win. And, before we let you get out of here, is there anybody you want to shout out and thank?
Yeah, of course. But I just wanted to say, last season, this is where I got my one win at. And almost the exact situation happened, except for it brought out a caution. And the person that caused the caution was a leader, and I was second because the second and third place got wrecked. And the first place had to get a penalty because he caused the caution, and I was just able to drive away and just win that one too. But as far as people I'd like to thank, definitely all my teammates at Rush Hour. We try to put in the work, and it's starting to pay off. I feel like we're all running pretty well. Definitely Extreme, what Ed does, and I've been in this league for a long time. It's a great league. What you guys do at Sim Racing Media, and what you guys do up in the booth every night, watching the races, calling them. It's awesome. And of course, Rick Motec, and yeah.
Yeah, well, certainly you guys love to put on a show for us. I can't recall really any race that didn't have some kind of excitement or drama and something crazy happening. So, I mean, you guys race really well, and it's fun to watch, and we look forward to talking to you next week.
I hope so. Maybe even tomorrow night.
Yeah, maybe even tomorrow.
I tell you what, the last 2 weeks have been swept. You are, well, you're just as close as Scott Ramler and Jacob Brower were last week on Tuesday, so could definitely happen.
True. I will say, I mean, I think I will have more confidence in the car tomorrow. I mean, I had confidence tonight, but the car tomorrow it's just awesome. So, yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Congratulations again on the win at Indianapolis. Go ahead and celebrate.
Thank you, guys.
It's going to about do it for us here on Sim Racing Media. Not sure what that's got going on, but go ahead and just show you the end once again from the perspective of Michael Thwaites as we go through our finishing results. Michael Thwaites gets the job done over Taylor Bertram, Alan Fox, Nicholas Weatherby, Justin Oplinger, Jacob Jensen, Jonathan Cogswell, and Bryce Senesac. Grant Orsini and David Calo round out the top 10. After that, we got Alan Dobbs, Nicholas Caldwell, Ed Morris Sr., Jacob Brower, Joshua Vidal, Joe Darnell, Josh Wren, Matt Cochran, Mike Campeggio, Todd Keir, Daniel Krim, Dustin Carroll, Ted Pullen, Paul Irvin, Ed Morris Jr., Michael Self, Mike Rominger, Douglas Carlson, Forrest Smith, and Brandon Storer, rounding out the field. I can't thank you guys enough for tuning in here live on Sim Racing Media and enjoying a Tuesday night and joining us here. It's been incredible. All good things have to come to an end. With that, as you guys walk through the streets of life, please don't play in traffic. Thanks for tuning in, folks.
Rickmotec, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, rickmotec.com. Rickmotec, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, rickmotec.com.